You all have had been sent a copy of the application materials. So Sean, what we usually do is we ask applicants to make a brief presentation of what you want to do on the property. And then we'll, from each of our department heads, we'll give you comments and questions and see if we come to some understanding of your project. So
Okay.
Sean, with that, we've all got your application. Would you just explain your project?
Okay, so I would like to open up a tattoo studio at the Ken's Barbershop. I think that that would require doing some construction on the inside to meet the health department's codes. And that I kind of started to outline in one of the attached papers, the proposed layout. So yeah, what I'm looking to do is have like more of a private studio, appointment only for the most part. So
Is it just you, Sean?
yes, it would just be me.
So there's only one chair, or however you might put it, room?
Yep.
Okay.
One station.
Okay. So why don't we do what we usually do, and we'll start with the building commissioner for the zoning issues, because I know that this doesn't fit neatly into our zoning.
Right.
Tom Evers, would you like to give some comment?
Sure. And I don't like starting this way because under 16410 in our bylaws, it says that no building structure or land shall be used for any purpose or in any manner other than permitted and set forth in the schedule of our use regulations. And obviously tattoo parlor's not there. And I'm trying to shoehorn it into something, but sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, I don't think I can really, since it's fairly specific use, I don't think I can really, try to put this under something else. So at the moment, I'm looking at it as a non-conforming use and a use not allowed in town, which would require a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Now, there's a couple of ways to go about that. You could ask them to overturn my determination, and they could make the determination that it is a legal use and ask for a variance in the alternative. I think that would be the best place to go. I may actually do some consulting with the planning board to see if they have a different opinion on this. I don't know if that will be the case, and it would have to be pretty strong. The other stuff, I mean, as far as building code, which is the other thing I handle, there's really not much here. I mean, you'd have to pull a permit for the work that you're doing inside, but since it's under 50 and under the building code, it's a business use, so there's not a lot of issues. And then you need to go to our architectural review committee for signage, and that's, they approve what your sign looks like. But as it stands right now, it's a use that's not allowed.
So Tom, do you want to avail yourself of the planning board's advice before you make that finding, or is that a finding you want to just?
Yeah, I certainly could change my mind based on what the planning board comes back with. I don't like these situations. I try to fit it under like a beauty salon. I try to fit it under a office. It just doesn't seem to fit anywhere. So I could ask the planning board for their opinion, and I will do that.
Okay, there's a planning board meeting on July 14th. I'm actually finishing the agenda for that this week. So if you could send me a request, the specific question you want to ask the board, I will be glad to put it before them and have them discuss it and let you know their findings.
Okay.
Sean, if you're still with us, you'll be, that's a public meeting, so it'll run over Channel 18. You are certainly welcome to participate in the meeting. I can get you an invite if you want to be able to speak to the board on that.
Yes, that would be great.
So why don't we talk offline about coordinating that? If so that you can make your case to the board. Although this really is a general question, I think that Tom's going to ask as to what the zoning allows.
Okay.
All right.
So, just a question,
Sure.
so the town doesn't have a uses for it, but it does exist under like the, health department's got like a bunch of regulations and rules on it, so that wouldn't,
Yeah, I think that's state regulations.
okay,
So the health department has its own set of regs approved by the Board of Health. But zoning is a bylaw approved by the town meeting, so it stands separately. So
Okay.
you need to meet both. So there's a track for Tom to get some advice from the planning board on the zoning aspect, and we will get to the health aspects in a moment.
okay.
All right. Using our usual cadence, Greg Baker, do you have any fire department comments?
Hi, George. Can you hear me?
Yes.
As far as the fire department goes, there's really no comments, but there are, I guess, on a personal level, there are a lot of support from the fire department. I've talked to the guys, and they welcome the service in town. So I'm not sure on the planning board aspect or what kind of support you need, Mr. Shea, but other than that, there's really no fire department comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. John Janelle, do you have any conservation comments?
Yeah, good morning, George. Good morning, Sean. No comments from the Conservation Office at all. So good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Todd, I think you're waiting on the line from Water Department.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, this is the Water Superintendent, Sean.
Okay,
Good morning, Sean. Todd Bunzik. If you do any interior work, wherever the water meter is located inside that building, you need to leave us access to the meter. Does the building have a basement? I'm not familiar with the inside of that building.
I believe it does, but I haven't
Do you
seen.
know? All right, so chances are it's in the basement, and are you going to be doing any work in the basement?
No.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Then my only other question for you is any of your equipment connected to the water supply?
No,
So you're just going to have sinks and stuff like you'd normally wash with. Your tattoo equipment does not hook up in any way, fashion, or form to water.
correct.
All right, so then you don't have any cross connection issues. So in the end, when you're done with construction, we just need to resurvey that building to make sure that that's the case. And other than that, I'm all set with water.
Okay,
Thank you, Todd. And
Okay.
now I think we're ready for Health Department comments. Bob Canning from the Health Department is on the line. Bob, if you would unmute, please.
People like to hear what I say much better when I'm muted, so I try to be muted as much as I can. But Sean, it's Bob from the Health Department. The tattoo facility would fall under the criteria of the body art regulations. Sounds like you've already received a copy of those. You referenced them earlier today. So they would have to be met in their entirety. The second is with regard to the septic system. The Ken's Barber Shop, I am fairly certain, is served by a cesspool. What you're proposing is a change in use, which would require the septic system to be inspected. When it's inspected, it's going to automatically fail the inspection because it's a cesspool. So a few things, options for you. I think it would be very difficult to put in a new complying septic system, very costly as well. But in that sewers are coming within the next few years to the downtown area. Possibly you could meet with the Board of Health, ask if you can maintain the cesspool, have it inspected to make sure it's not, hydraulically failed and that's structurally sound. See if you can maintain the cesspool, and rather than putting your money into the construction of a new septic system, you could have that money set aside for either the design or the installation of a connection to the sewer. And as soon as the sewer goes by and is available for connections, you would have to connect within, 30 days of that. The difference is that individuals normally would have 6 months to a year to connect. So instead of putting in a new septic system, your obligation would be to connect sooner.
Okay,
But that is a Board of Health action. They have to do that. It is a failed system. So we cannot approve you going forward with that unless the board acts on it. But I do think you would have success if that cesspool is structurally sound, not hydraulically failed. You're decreasing the flow per code. The barber shop was a dry use. Yours is going to be a dry use. Probably a similar flow, but per the Title V flow chart, it is a change in use and requires the inspection. Are you going to be purchasing the building or renting the space?
renting the space.
Renting the space, okay. So you may want to talk to the owner of the property about that, let them know what's going to happen. The inspection and everything I just explained really will have to be dealt with the owner or the owner's representative
Okay.
to come up with an agreement. As for the regulations, we would, if you choose to go forward, would sit down and meet with you, go over them really section by section to make sure everything's going to be okay. If you need relief, I believe there's a section in there for variances. So we'd gladly do that with you before you get into construction and invest the money updating the facility. So I want to throw that out there, that we'd be willing to do that with you. So, okay, so that's what we have to meet the regulations, and we have to address the septic system.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
So I probably should have said this earlier, but if those who had significant comments, such as Bob, if you could just email me, doesn't have to be formal, just an email of the comments. I'll make sure they all get bundled and sent to Sean so he's got them, so he knows
Okay.
what's required, especially since he sounds like we'll have to discuss this with the property owner. So does the board want to take any action knowing that the use still needs to be cleared? I mean, what we have here is a building with it sounds like no proposed exterior changes. Sean, I do want to ask you if you have access to the parking lot legally or otherwise. Maybe you can answer that now. Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Yep, go ahead.
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to check with the owners.
Okay, all right. Now, there is a provision in the zoning bylaw that allows for when a building is not changed in any way or enlarged, the existing parking requirements are considered met. So this could probably squeeze under that, but you do want to make sure that you have lawful access to parking on the property before you invest in your business there.
Yes.
So does the board want to waive the site plan or take no further action on this at this point?
George?
Yes.
Yeah, I would feel uncomfortable waiving the site plan until we know the direction of the septic system, because all outdoor utilities, et cetera, would have to be changed if they have to put in a new septic system. It's not that I feel that a site plan will be necessary, but I think we have to find out about the septic, about the parking, before we could waive anything. So if not a formal, maybe a second informal after some of those questions are answered.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Okay, so that's the direction we'll go. We'll leave this as an open. Who's that?
George?
Yes.
I just have one other comment for Sean. Sean, as you go through it, we're meeting as a site plan review committee here, but feel free to call the individual offices to get clarification on anything you need as you proceed with the property owners.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so in the meantime, I'll get something from the building commissioner and schedule this on the planning board's agenda for July 14th. And they'll give him advice. It is always the building inspector's call as to zoning interpretation. So he'll make that ultimate call, but he'll avail himself of some advice of the planning board. So unless there are other comments, we'll move on to the next agenda item.
Sean, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Sean.
luck.
Feel free to call me
Good
anytime.
luck, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, Sean, you're welcome to sign off. We're just going to do some administrative work now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. So we do have a copy of the minutes of the June 3rd, 2020 meeting. It was noted to me by Ron Trudeau that he was actually at the meeting. This was the meeting of which there were 2 call-in numbers. So he was at the meeting. He ultimately did participate. So I just want to change that to note that he was there. So with that, is there a motion to accept the minutes of the June 3rd meeting as amended?
I'd move we accept the June 3rd Site Plan Review Committee meetings amended to include Ron Trudeau as being present.
Greg Baker
Todd
seconds.
Buzzard, second. There you go.
Thank you both. Any other corrections or additions? If not, we're going to do a roll call for the vote. Todd Bunzik, how do you vote?
Aye. Todd,
John Janelle?
aye.
Aye.
Bob Canning?
Hi, Bob Canning.
Greg Baker?
Aye.
And Tom Evers.
Aye.
With that, we have completed our agenda. Thank you all, gentlemen. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? No roll
Aye.
call
Aye.
needed.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. We'll talk to you later.
Good.
Bye-bye.